Alright. The one person on the top of my list, the one archetype that is the worst of the webs, as Radagast Brown would say, is the passive-aggressive lying piece of shit. You got a person who's passive-aggressive, you know what I mean? They do little things here and there, but they will never outright bring an issue to your face. Unless you like you have to chase them down and force them to talk to you. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people know people like this. They're like, oh, you know, I'm just doing my thing. I'm not out to get anybody, you know. I don't try not to make any enemies. I don't hear anything. But you start to notice a pattern with them. Like if you ask them a question or whatever, because say you're at work, say you're in a work environment, you're in a home environment, you ask them a question, they'll just fucking, they'll casually lie. I think casual lies is like the biggest red flag for identifying the passive-aggressive piece of shit. And these people are like vile. There was a Roman general who defeated Hannibal. His name was Fabian, and he employed something called the Fabian strategy. And I think Jordan Peterson goes into this a little bit too, where like the passive-aggressive piece of shit will take a little bit, you know what I mean? And then you call them out on it and say, hey, you're a fucking piece of shit. Give that back. And they'll give back almost all of it, but still hold on to a sliver, you know what I mean? These people can be hard to spot. You know, for somebody who's like a fucking turbo Chad like me, you know what I mean? Where I fucking, I talk it the way I walk it. And I think what I mean, and I mean what I say. But for the passive-aggressive piece of shit, a lot of times they don't even know what the fucking truth is, you know what I mean? They only know what they hear, you know what I mean? Or they have some vague notion of, oh, I'm gonna get this motherfucker because he doesn't align with my fucking, my collective, whatever, my fucking collective group identity or whatever vile, snaky soup shit's floating around in their fucking brain, you know what I mean? Like, really just the worst. As Radagast Brown would say, the worst of the webs. You know what I mean? There's something fucked up in this forest over here. And I wish Radagast was more of a badass in the movies than, it was just like, oh, look, I got a fucking sled with rabbits on it. Like, fucking nature, dude. They did him dirty. It's like, oh, he just eats mushrooms. What a piece of garbage. You know what I mean? Saruman's like talking shit. Meanwhile, Saruman's like working for Sauron the whole fucking time. You know what I mean? But at least Saruman had like the orcs, and he puts his fucking hand on the dude's head. It's like, now you'll eat man flesh. You know what I mean? That's aggressive. You can at least respect that. You know what I mean? But the passive-aggressive would be, I don't know if they even had one in Lord of the Rings, maybe Wormtongue, but that he was still he's more badass than the actual archetype in reality, which is like, oh, I'm not harmful, I don't mean to harm anybody. But the minute your back is turned, they're talking shit. They're feeding you poison slowly, you know what I mean? Like, trying to like fucking Munchausen syndrome, kind of like passive, like super fucking passive aggressive, you know what I mean? They still mean you harm, and it's going through their fucking heads, but it might take you a very, very long time to realize it. And maybe that's why I'm doing this video, is because I realized maybe someone close to me has been a passive aggressive piece of shit the whole time, and either I didn't know or I didn't care. Probably the latter. Like, you get a certain type who everyone's like, oh, you really can't trust those type of people. And I said, I don't even give a fuck if I can or not. It doesn't affect me until it does. So that's just word to the wise. I'll wrap it up there. Keep it